He never ate in public, he never aged, and, according to some, he never died. For over 300 years, the same man appeared in the courts of kings, the pages of secret societies, and the whispers of conspiracies. He was a master of language, science, art, and war. He had no family, no home, no origin, and no grave. Some say he was a genius. Others say he was something much older. This is the story of the Count of Saint-Germain, the man time our story begins in the glittering chaos of 18th century France. At the lavish court of King Louis XV, nobles and dignitaries gossiped about an unusual man, a man who dressed impeccably in velvet and jewels, who spoke not just French, but Italian, Spanish, German, English, Arabic, Sanskrit, even Chinese, a man who entertained with music, painted with the skill of a master, and debated politics, science, and philosophy like he'd lived through every century of it. He introduced himself as the Count of Saint-Germain. But something was off. Older nobles whispered they'd met him before, not 5 or 10 years earlier, but decades ago, in Vienna, in Venice, in Constantinople. Always the same man, always with the same youthful face, smooth skin, piercing eyes, and always with no sign of aging. Even more bizarre, he remembered them too, down to exact conversations from 40, 50, even 60 years prior. Who was this man? He dazzled the court with tales from history, stories so detailed, so personal, it was as if he had been there. He claimed to have been close friends with Cleopatra, that he had dined with Plato, that he had witnessed the crucifixion of Christ. Of course, people laughed at him, but behind the jokes, there was unease. Voltaire, the great philosopher, once wrote, "The Count of Saint-Germain is a man who never dies, and who knows everything." Even Madame de Pompadour, the king's most trusted companion, wrote in her private diary that Saint-Germain claimed to be over 300 years old. And she believed him. But the Count wasn't just a talker, he was an alchemist. He hinted at having discovered the philosopher's stone, the mythical substance that could transmute base metals into gold and grant eternal life. In front of nobles, he would repair cracked diamonds, produce rubies from nowhere, and mix potions that changed color and consistency like magic. He never ate in public. He never drank wine. He claimed to live off light and to have mastered the body's needs. Some believed he had found the elixir of immortality. Others believed he wasn't human at all. The Count was also said to be deeply connected to the Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and other occult brotherhoods. In those circles, he wasn't spoken of like a man. He was spoken of like a guardian, a keeper of lost truths. Some called him an ascended master, a spiritual entity sent to Earth to guide humanity through hidden teachings. There are whispers that he was present during key turning points in history, that he influenced the Enlightenment, warned of the French Revolution, and appeared behind closed doors at secret gatherings that shaped the future of Europe. Wherever powerful men met in secret, it seemed, the Count of Saint-Germain had already been there. Then, in 1784, a document surfaced. The Count of Saint-Germain was dead. He had supposedly passed away in Germany. A tomb was built, a record made, but just a few years later, he was seen again. In Paris, then Vienna, then Russia. Each time, he looked the same. In 1904, famed mystic Annie Besant claimed she had met him. In 1930, a man named Richard Duc de Palatine swore Saint-Germain had guided him personally. In 1972, a man matching his exact description was photographed at a UN meeting in New York. And perhaps the strangest account of all. In 2003, a European journalist claimed to have received an email from Saint-Germain himself, containing prophecies that would come true years later. So who was he? A brilliant trickster, a time-traveling alchemist, a master of disguise and influence, or something even stranger? Was the Count of Saint-Germain an immortal being, a man who cracked the code of existence, a hidden hand in history, or was he simply a myth, made more powerful with each retelling? No birth certificate, no death record, just a trail of appearances, artifacts, and unanswered questions spanning centuries. Some believe he is still alive, walking the world under another name, watching humanity rise and fall, waiting for the right moment to return. And if that's true, then perhaps you've already seen him, In a photo, in a hallway, in a crowd, the man with ancient eyes and no shadow. This was the shadow file. Subscribe before we disappear too.